just like sprays. Oh gosh. Okay.
Whew. All right, I'm ready.
Ooh, alrighty.
You're not gonna give that no shot, or
I was trying to clear.
Yeah.
let's see if you can do it again.
I can't do it that good. It was just.
I can't do it that good.
It
A
was.
little bit of bubbly. Welcome to the Awkward Side Hug podcast. I'm here with Steven. I'm here with Lex. We're gonna get we were gonna get right into polls. That's our word. We're gonna get into some polls we put on Instagram recently, but I want Steven and Lex to have a moment to themselves so they could talk about some depression they've been going through over the last 24 hours.
You know, just to give like a couple sentences on my end. The last 2 years in Dodgers baseball fandom were they were heartbreaking. You know, because I had to deal with a lot of Dodgers loss since 2001, and every year we just sucked. And even when we made it to the playoffs, we would get smoked by the Cardinals or the Cubs. And you know, R.I.P. Jose Lima. He was like the one pitcher who figured out the Cardinals lineup one year, and he managed to get like a playoff win one year, and that was like the only Dodgers playoff win for a long time. So the past 2 years were heartbreaking. Last night was freaking embarrassing, dude. So freaking embarrassed. And like, dude, yeah. Like, I don't want to be like all the other majority who are like angry, but I'm embarrassed.
Have you seen the video of the guy who throws the Kershaw jersey into the field? I want your guys' thoughts on Kershaw.
So, Kershaw. Look, Kershaw during the regular season, but for some reason, October is just spooky to Kershaw, man.
Yeah.
Would you recommend that he gets you to the playoffs, but then when the playoffs happen, he should take on a more of a bullpen spot than a starting pitcher spot?
I think he just might not be on the roster for the playoffs.
I think he's too good to not pitch in the playoffs. But do you feel like he mentally is better for
I'll tell you, no.
bullpen position than doing both?
So I don't think a bullpen. I'll tell you this. In clutch situations, he shouldn't be in there. Clutch situations, win or go home games.
Yeah.
Like the last 2 years, well, I would consider 3 years, right? Because we're done this year. So the last 3 years, man, I've never had my heart broken that many times.
So bad, man. And Walker Buehler was dealing. He like killed it these playoffs or these games. And someone mentioned that Joe Kelly ended the past 2 years of Dodgers seasons last year, but he was on the Red Sox last year.
I don't think you can blame him too much. He was put in a tough situation.
Yeah. Because he wasn't like in there for multiple innings at that point, or
I'll be honest, I didn't watch it. But so what happened is, I know this is gonna surprise you guys, but I went to the gym and I was walking by one of the
you're out here pissing off Steven?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even hear what you said, dude.
What were you listening to?
I don't know what I was doing right now. This guy right here, Lex, is like fucking like are you okay here? What's going on, man? I'm really gonna put together the little highlight video of you every time you turn away from the mic to do something, so that way we can have that on the channel, and I'll put some like music in the background.
That was like the perfect impersonation of that too. Because I think you turn to your microphone side and like it's gonna be like how Brian mentioned in the pre-show, like it's gonna go in the red, dude. Like we broke people's ears right now.
All right. So, anyways, look, I like the Dodgers. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but you know, I'm used to getting my heart broken. So, I'm just gonna live another day living the day like I'm so sad I'm gonna end it all. No, I'm gonna rep the team always. My favorite color is blue. So it is
See-
what it is, man.
Yeah, heartbroken. I'm embarrassed, and it freaking sucks. I'm just embarrassed. So
Plus,
we'll
my
see.
hair,
It's
my hair's
one of
all
those.
messed up, so
Yeah,
hat on.
it's one of those things where I don't know if I can enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Whereas normally I would be able to, because I was used, like over the past like almost 20 years, I was used to seeing the Dodgers in only like 3 or 4 playoff appearances, and they always got eliminated first round anyways. It sucks after these last 2 years, man. It's just,
If it makes you feel better, Lex, guess what's coming back soon?
Fury season. We're furious.
We're one of like 14 fans.
Yeah.
This.
14 and a half, and I'm the half. So. You know
So,
what, though? I had a good time when I went, so I would like to go again.
indoor soccer is very fun to watch. It's just like I get
very-
that it's not popular.
It's
but-
very fun, especially
Yeah.
because like the beers are kind of cheap, because it's not really too mainstream.
It's not.
Not really a sport. Is that what you're saying?
It's not popping.
Yeah.
I was
It's
gonna
like-
say poppin', but
Yeah.
that's not too mainstream, and you can get super wasted and still have a good time, and like the atmosphere is good. So and the tickets are cheap, so you can have a really good seat for
For like
$20.
$10.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like a big old arena, and like like Brian said, there's like only like hundreds of people that go, so it's like a bunch of empty seats, and like
Oh, and
sometimes if it's like a really slow night, like you get to play, so it's like
For the first time ever, too, last season, some guy got really nervous that we were in the wrong seats when the whole arena was just completely wide open.
yeah, that was wild.
Wait, who got nervous?
It was like an usher, right?
Yeah, he just
one of
like,
the guys
hey,
ordered
you
it.
guys on the wrong row, and we're like, oh, okay.
Like the entire section was empty. Like,
Right.
You're just like,
oh man.
And then one of the players from the Ontario Fury actually played for LAFC this season, so some of those players actually go on to do things. Jermaine Jones, I don't know if
Went to
he-
our team, yeah.
he's on Ontario Fury. Speaking of, he might play again with us. I don't know, but he's playing for the United States team in Australia right now. And I don't know why I'm plugging this in the league, but I just feel like I have to. But Landon Donovan played for the San Diego Sockers last season, and they had a Landon Donovan versus Jermaine Jones little rivalry for the end part of the season.
And it was me, Brian, Steven. It was oh wait. But no, but you know what's actually kind of funny about that is that me and Brian were hyped for like the matchup, but then we're like, did Landon Donovan really play that season? Because remember they would like start him, and then they would take him out like 2 minutes in the game, and he was just like on the bench for the rest of the. Whereas like Jermaine Jones was like a workhorse for us, like every game.
I made a joke too, where Jermaine Jones is probably used to playing like 90-minute games, so he's probably like, you guys don't have to sit me, I'm good.
Yeah. He's like, what's going on? I could still play.
He's like, what if you could sub back in? why are we giving this accent, dude?
Well, because he's German.
So you guys want to get to the polls?
Yes.
That seems so weird coming out of my mouth.
We get to Brian.
Pokemon go to the polls.
I've heard of Pokemon Go.
All right.
Some of these were simple.
Some of these I was surprised on, like your guys' answers.
Yeah. So we did some online polls just to spice things up a little bit because we noticed our fourth mic. It's like a bad relationship. Our fourth mic, they just weren't interested anymore, and we got to spice it up in the room.
It's you guys.
Yeah. It's not us. It's them. This is what they told us. But I actually got that. I got like everything in the book one time actually as like a late teenager, 19 or something like that. But maybe I'll tell that later. But yeah,
So, Steven, first poll.
first poll.
Summer or winter?
Yeah, this is already starting on some hot takes, right?
Yeah. This is controversial. What did the fourth mic decide as a whole?
Winter got 60%. Summer got 40%.
40%, 60 to 40.
60 to 40.
I know Lex's stance on this, and I know my stance is winter. What's Steven's stance?
Mine's summer all the way through.
Oh wow.
Is it because of the activities or the weather? Because I think people might be interpreting it just as the weather.
Okay, so on here it doesn't say anything. It just says summer or winter.
Summer or winter. Yeah.
You're wrong. So, um, no, I enjoy the things like that summer offers. The days are longer. I don't like getting out of work at like 5:30, and then it being completely dark outside. I feel like I spent my whole entire day at work.
The
Not that I
only
don't already, but at least the light outside keeps me.
if I'm gonna be a teenager about this, the only reason I liked the summers was because at the park where we would play basketball, the lights were out longer, so we could play basketball later.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, my chubby figure prefers the winter because it's a lot cooler.
Do
I
your
don't look
nipples chafe?
no.
In the wintertime,
It sounds like just a random question.
They're in the summer. They could be in the summer.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I guess my mind goes sports. I feel like
only like 4 people like answered that question, and that was me and maybe one more other person. Oh, actually, that'd be 50-50. So 5
You
people.
know what? Like
5 people answered that question.
5 people. No, to be honest, a lot of people answered these questions. Like I was actually surprised. I was afraid it was just gonna be Brian, Steven, and I.
Don't lie to the people.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay.
The Ash podcast. We have what is it? We have self-esteem issues right now.
so this could be a good transition to the next poll question because that has something to do with seasons as well. Halloween or Christmas?
Oh, this pissed me off.
The fourth mic gave Christmas a 57%, and Halloween got 43%.
And this was the closest one.
Which means more than 5 people voted because that's an odd percentage.
That's an odd percentage.
I don't know if Instagram knows how to do their math here.
This was the closest. This was the closest one.
This is the closest.
Under the sea.
Come on.
I don't know. I get sides for both of them.
You get what? Excuse me. What did you say?
I get the sides for both of them.
Oh, side. I think you said a side.
Steven had a Sour Patch Kids before the podcast.
Yeah.
Christmas, if people are into that, is more family oriented. You get presents. The food's decent. There's Christmas music. I get why people might enjoy that more. But in Halloween, you get to dress up. The thing is, I think I personally like Halloween more, but because you don't have to spend money on presents. But the thing is, I feel like I'm always ill prepared, and then there's been Halloweens that just went by and I didn't do anything before.
Yeah, Brian and I probably like saved each other's like bank accounts like a good like 7 to 8 years ago because we had a little pact that we're like, you know what, we're always broke. How about every Christmas we don't give each other presents? Like me and Brian, so I was like, all right, yeah, deal.
And it's kind of worked for birthdays too. Like sometimes we'll sneak some BS in there. Or we'll say like, hey, can you cover my ticket for this because my birthday's coming, or blah blah blah. Like, but that's as far as it goes.
Hey, cover my ticket. My birthday's coming up, fam.
It's like a ticket to London.
Here's my hot. Here's my hot take.
All right, go for it.
All right, because you guys are repping Christmas over here. All right, I'm gonna be the Grinch right now. This is my issue with Christmas. Everybody wants to be nice. Everybody wants to buy presents for everybody. Everybody wants to just be the perfect person in the world, except for the other 363 days of the year. You're a piece of poop. That is my hot take. You can't be a bad person for 11 and a half months of the year, and then half of a month of the year because it's Christ's birthday. Okay? You're going to come up in here and you're just going to be all like, oh, I love you. Here's a present. No.
I look at Christmas as, it's funny because this is going to come off controversial, but I look at Christmas as more of a secular holiday because I feel like not as many families do it for the religious reasons that it's intended. So I look at it as more of a treats, presents, food, family.
Christmas has become a consumer holiday. It's more so for capitalism. But anyways, that's more of like a total.
True.
That's like way out of the realm of what the poll was. So Halloween, I like Halloween because you get to dress up, right? You get to be whatever you want for a day. You get candy. Candy's cheap. I love candy. I mean, I think kids love to trick or treat. I feel like trick or treating's gone down though lately um, what's the word?
Over the years,
Didn't
Like,
that happen because of like 9/11 or something?
yeah, like I don't know,
maybe.
the sense of community and trick or treating, and
Yeah.
just like because I remember when I was 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, like a group of me and my friends, we'd go and we'd trick or treat, and it was fun. It was cool. And now
Mhm.
I don't really see anybody. I think now they do more like community events where people just go to one big event.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like there's a concern about approaching people's houses and stuff like that, and letting your kids go trick or treating without you. Like, I don't know. It's because I remember probably like when we were in junior high and stuff, we would just go out trick or treating by ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
come back eventually. But I'm sure parents nowadays don't think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Dude, Steven went off on Christmas there, man. That was wild.
There's a lot of people out there that are crazy.
So you just chugged like a martini or something right now.
It's because everybody gets so bent out of shape for Christmas. Everybody's broke, and they go and spend all this money that they don't have. It's like sometimes we miss the true meaning of Christmas, of just being like, I mean, it's not Thanksgiving, but like just being able to,
The
spend
NBA
time.
games.
NBA games, yes, the NBA games are good, but just being able to, enjoy other people's company,
Right.
That's
Okay.
just my take. That's my take.
I was on the fence and I just leaned Christmas, to be honest.
Mm.
Yeah, to be honest, it was kind of 50-50 for me. Like, I prefer.
Not that I don't like Christmas, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
To me, it's
I prefer
this
Halloween.
might come as controversial, but I kind of prefer Thanksgiving because you get the food and the family and all that, but you don't have to buy presents for everybody.
Damn.
So it's kind of the same thing, but I know that's a controversial holiday.
Brian's like, I prefer it because it's like the winning team, like, whoa, hey.
That's my issue. You notice Brian's language is you don't have to buy presents. You never
Mhm.
have to buy presents. Saying have to means that people are expecting you to, and that's my issue with Christmas.
Steven's heated. I like it.
Yeah.
So,
I
all
like
right.
it.
So, anyways,
I think
next
Lex has got the next one, right?
yeah, let's have
Yeah.
the next one.
So the next one is dogs or cats.
This
Perfect.
one
And
was
this is a big one for me. So this one ended up now okay, so we did have quite a few people vote on these, like a lot more than I thought. And dogs versus cats was the one where most people voted. And dude, it was a landslide. It was dogs 80%, cats 20%. And I thought this was gonna be a lot closer than I had originally anticipated. And
this
because
one's
dogs
easy.
are better.
This one's easy for me. The question is which one, and it's obviously I prefer dogs. I don't dislike cats, but if I had to choose one or the other, it's dogs.
Yeah, I used to have a deep-seated hatred for cats, but it's because of my own fault. The first reason and the second reason I found out later, but the first reason because when I was younger, I remember I would be out in the yard, like super little kid, like, and I would be playing, and there was a cat there one time, right? I don't know if it was someone's cat around here or just like a stray cat. And I was like, "Oh, cat!" They're like dogs and stuff. So I would grab it, like, and I started like petting it, and it just like, just like starts, dude. It like effed me up. It scratched me up, and ever since then, I was like, "Oh, cats are evil." So that's kind of my fault. But as I grew up, I also realized that I'm allergic to cats. So that's also another reason. But
Wait. Has this been like proven that you're allergic, or is this
Yeah,
one of those?
he gets pretty
my eyes, my nose, my face like
yeah.
puffins out. It's crazy. Puffins.
Muffins? Oh man,
That's like the bird from Star Wars.
all right. I can see. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it was a self-diagnosed allergy.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference, Steven?
I prefer dogs.
Okay. So this the next one. This is interesting. So
So we ended up sending a question to the fourth mic. Let's hear some more suggestions of these ash polls, right? These awkward side hug polls of this or that. And one of them was really good, and we got this DM to us. It was children or pets. So,
and which one did you vote on, Steven?
I chose pets.
I have, yeah.
Don't you have something coming up?
Am I obligated to choose children?
Yeah.
Spicy take here. Am I obligated?
Spicy take.
Well, I don't know. Maybe if you just want to be funny or something, but I feel like.
Don't you have something coming up soon, Steven? Or
Yeah, a little something.
maybe something soon. I don't know.
Well, what about you, Lex?
It was hard for me actually because I love pets, but I do want children someday. And
You're acting like if you chose something on the poll, you can never have kids.
yeah, I could never have children. I could never have pets. Fast forward, you see me with like a dog right here. I'm like, yeah, so this is Tum Tum. But yeah, I chose pets on the online poll. So it was interesting to see the split of people who chose what. What was the percentage?
It was 73% for pets, 27% for children.
27.
I feel like children get a bad rep nowadays.
Can I
Kick it.
throw
Yes,
in
you
a secret? I didn't vote on any of these, so that might be a good thing or a bad thing. That
Maybe.
I left it for the fourth mic.
Exactly.
But
Was I not supposed to?
no, you could.
I did. Steven and I voted on these two.
I was just.
Oh shit.
I guess in my current financial state, it's pets. I feel like I can afford a pet.
Yeah.
I've proven in the past that I couldn't even do that either. and then yeah, but I do want children someday. But I get, like I said, it's not like if I choose one or the other, I don't get the other one. So
Here's a question for you guys. All right, let's say you can only have pets for the rest of your life, no children, or children for the rest of your life, no pets. Obviously, like it's your choice of how many you want. You don't have to have like 100 kids. But
children.
Damn. As much as I love dogs with all my heart, I would have to go children too.
Steven?
Steven's like, I would say pets.
No, I go children as well. So.
Okay. Do you know if there's any place that has gifts for children or pets, Lex?
Children or pets? I think I have one place in mind. Am I typing it up right now? Did I not have it set up?
They probably don't have anything. Or
Absolutely. But yeah, they probably, this is like the two
things
they don't have covered.
I promise that we're gonna get better at these transitions. We're gonna get really good. That's another highlight for the video.
Sorry. Oh, it's the worst. I don't know.
All right, you know a place that has a kids meal though?
If I do one.
A place that has a kids meal, or I believe they do, is Ike's Sandwiches.
What happened
Sandwiches. This pillow just came out of nowhere. Sandwiches that would change your outlook on life. Because we're that good. 500 amazing options. Vegetarian, meat, vegan, gluten-free. We got you. www.loveandsandwiches.com. Hashtag IG accent sandwiches.
Wow.
My favorite's in Matt Cain. And they have plenty of locations all over California, including Nevada and Arizona.
Hey, someone like decided to rob Brian's room like through the window. He's like, you just see like a bunch of glass sandwiches, like sandwiches. The place for sandwiches for you. He's like still good. It's like my favorite, the Matt Cain.
I just wanted to get through it, you know?
Dude, that is a podcaster, dude.
Can you just do that one more time?
Huh?
Can you do the whole Brian saying his favorite sandwich thing one more time?
Mine's the Matt Cain. They steal all his jerseys.
You see me with no shirt on?
Is this the undershirt with the Riff Raff autograph?
Oh, man.
I can't breathe.
Like, I know it. Okay.
Dang. All right.
Okay. Oh.
So
I just picture someone robbing Brad's house, and he's still sticking through the ad. They're like making his flag down there. We have locations in Arizona, the Gaslamp area. Like, just like soccer. Like Savage.
Okay. This is one of my favorite episodes.
Okay. Okay.
God,
We
you guys have some good questions on these polls.
Yeah.
all right. So we're gonna save the more serious ones, right? So all right. When Lex graduates, what is he going to rep?
Oh, shouts out to this one because this person also sent an online poll, but this person backtracked because it was something we used to do on the Brand Split podcast.
I like how Lex doesn't follow anything that we talk about in the pre-show.
I know, yeah.
We planned this stuff. That's fine. It's fine. Let's just do it.
And then, but we're gonna bring it up as.
This is why you need to take notes, Lex.
Yes.
You know what? Since he already opened up Pandora's box,
I wasn't gonna mention it, but I was gonna say it's gonna be a future poll. But so,
well, we can just mention it. It's fine.
I don't know
we'll
what
we'll do it quickly. So we're gonna put up a poll this week, and we'll see how the Fourth Mike Nation votes on it. This person also stated the question was uncomfortable, but it was meant to be uncomfortable. When we used to do the Brand Split with Young Baca, it was kind of like the same format, but it was audio, and basically there would find moments that we would get guests on the show, or we would try to make each other or people coming into the show uncomfortable. Not like in a bad way, but more just because we think it creates good content. Like we would ask each other about our sex lives and stuff like that. So I would ask, if people would prefer if they wear protection or they prefer to do certain things raw. And
certain like the dishes or like.
do you like to do the dishes raw, or do you have to wear protection? And people would ask. So I guess we might make that a fourth mic poll this week and see how many people are confident enough to answer. If not, you don't have to. But
it's getting very. That's another one.
It's
getting very very personal right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know what I'll rep after I graduate as a Bronco. For my master's degree, I'm considering Cal Poly also as a top choice, but I do want to apply to some other schools. But yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna rep, man. I'm gonna be a lost soul. I'm just gonna be like finally in like the workplace or the workforce with nothing but like Cal Poly clothes. So I'm gonna have to like take a trip to JCPenney or something. But it's gonna be a troubling time for me for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next question: when will Hulk Hogan return to the WWE? So I'll give the. So if people don't know, Hulk Hogan was recorded saying racial slurs a while back, and
Racial slurs.
And WWE was like, "Hey, that's not cool. We're taking you out of our Hall of Fame. We're gonna act like you never worked for this company for at least a little bit." Then, roughly last year, they brought Hulk Hogan back to apologize backstage. He basically said, "Hey, don't get caught," instead of just apologizing for the things he did. That was not taken very well. But just to add more controversy on top of controversy, at the Saudi Arabia show they did last year, Hulk Hogan.
Wait, last year, right?
Yeah, appeared on that show, and then now Hulk Hogan's kind of been making appearances there and there. People are just kind of getting used to him being there. Every once in a while, when Hulk Hogan's name's being mentioned, people boo him. So it is so people like asking the question like, when do you think Hulk Hogan's going to return to the WWE? People are like, well, I have no idea why he wouldn't, but it is very controversial if he is there or not. And at this year's Saudi Arabia show that's going to happen in a couple weeks, there's going to be a Team Hogan versus Team Flair.
And I got it real quick. They look really bad, both of them.
Oh yeah.
Ric Flair and Hogan. That segment was
Somebody's gonna die
interesting.
in ring, and they're not even gonna be wrestling.
Yeah, I believe they're not wrestling, but
No, I know. I'm saying
but I
like,
heard they're gonna do something physical.
okay.
So,
Woo!
well, it was funny. Not funny, but that the last Saudi Arabia show, it was like 100 degrees or something like that, wrestling, and they were wrestling outside. And not only were people like Goldberg getting concussed, but they were getting a lot of heat exhaustion issues. So that match was kind of, I don't know how hot it is in Saudi Arabia in October, but it's interesting to see those guys go out there. But apparently people get paid a lot of money to do these shows. So answering the question, he's already been back. If he should or shouldn't be, that's up to maybe the fourth mic.
That's funny.
The WWE universe.
Dub dub dub.
I take wrestling more serious than the ads.
You saw that? Yeah. I've never seen Brian speak so eloquently. That was awesome.
So which one do you guys want to do next?
Dub, dub,
I'll leave that up to you guys.
Let's run.
Let's stick to what we said that we were gonna do in the pre-show. That way, I mean, we're just like, hey, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Like,
Steven's on point today, man.
There's a reason why we write these things down. So
Yeah.
Do you want me to read the question?
Yeah, that's what
All right.
I tried to transition to, but you made it about us being like unprepared.
Even here's a transition. He's like, I wish people would give me transitions.
So it's very funny, and like it's about to get real right now. So,
Oh yeah.
So this question, okay, here we go. So the question is, at what point do you have to accept you're just going to be a stepfather?
So this question was interpreted two ways.
Yeah.
I feel like Steven's way is maybe the quicker way. So
thanks.
we'll start off with Steven's.
Okay, so I interpret this question as you're already in a relationship, and you're already the stepfather, and you're just kind of realizing like that's your role. And then I don't know, you guys had a different take on it.
Yeah, Brian and I interpreted it as I had a really concentrated.
Whoa.
Whoa. That was wild, fam. CTE. But Brian and I interpreted it as why did I attempt the word again? As like an age-wise thing, right? So like when you date, whether I feel whether men or women, what like, whoa, man, I've been
okay. So what age?
man.
Not necessarily age specific, but what point in your life do you start accepting, like, you know what, I'm no longer gonna probably be able to date a single person. I'm gonna have
without kids.
Without kids.
You can't date a single person.
See, I can't even explain it well.
They have to be married.
We're both wilding right now.
So somebody who has children already, when are you going to start accepting the fact that you're going to go into a relationship as a stepfather? And some people might be in denial and they'll be like, no, I'm 35. I'm not going to date someone who has children. But at this point, you might have to start accepting that you will. Or is it like at the age of 25 where you start thinking that maybe I can or cannot? I know Steven has some hot takes on this.
Really?
So I don't know.
think
I'll admit that I was probably at an age where it was the percentages of me finding someone with children versus someone without children were increasing.
So look, real quick, I'm gonna stop you there. Statistically, people are having kids later and not earlier. So the chances of you being able to find somebody who doesn't have a kid is pretty high. I would say under 30. I know I said 28 in the pre-show. I'm changing it to 30. So you do have a good chance of finding somebody that doesn't have a kid under 30. With that being said, I think for men, well, obviously stepfather man, you probably have up until 35 maybe. I mean, people are old, but they look very young. Case in point, like Lex and I. Sorry, Brian, you look a little older. It's the beard. But I mean,
Brian has a mean beard, yeah.
And I'm sure when Lex shaves, like he looks very young.
Super young, yeah.
And so like we can be 35. Well, not me, but Lex can be 35, and he probably can snag somebody who doesn't have a kid.
Well, let's put this in perspective. And let's look at it from more of a subjective. Like you took a very objective with the statistics. You took an objective view. A subjective view is there might be plenty of fish in the sea without kids, but it might not be the fish that you want. And maybe the fish that you want have kids.
Mm.
Yeah, I kind of agreed with Brian's original point of perception-wise. Like, for example, the past few years, like I could see a lot of evidence leading in the direction that, oh man, like more and more women out there who are available already have a kid or kids. And it started leaning towards the direction of like the older I got, like the more likely, man, I'm gonna have to settle with someone for a kid. And not saying settle is a bad way. I probably should have used a different term, but over the past few years, I've dated a couple of women who have a kid. And so I thought like, you know, as I turned 29 this year, that highlight, as I turned 29 this year, I was like, oh, like I'm absolutely going to have to date someone with a kid, right? But over the past like 6 months now, I'm starting to realize like, wait a second, now any person I've talked to or am talking to, they don't have a kid. So like it's crazy how that works. So it's really like I think the perception seems like the older you get, the more you'll have to settle with someone who already has a child. But just to kind of prove Steven's point, I guess, I mean, there's really a lot more people than I thought out there that you know are single and don't have kids.
There's about 9 billion people in the world. And so I think like you said, it's perception. I think it's your train of thought. Like, if you don't hold yourself to the standards, like if you think like, oh man, all I can get is a girl with a kid, then guess what? All you're going to get is a girl with a kid. If you hold yourself to a certain set of standards, not saying that that's bad, by the way.
No, yeah.
Like Brian said, if that's the fish you want, then hey, that's the fish you get, right? That
Yeah.
you go for. So, but I'm saying like to kind of like before you even look for somebody, right? Like you have an idea of what you're looking for. And if you don't, then you're never going to find anything good because you don't have an idea of what your end goal is. So you got to know the point of destination, and then you can figure out the path there. If you don't have a point of destination or like somebody in mind that you're looking for, funny, family oriented, between the ages of whatever, single, like no kid.
Who likes the Joker movie?
Yeah, likes the Joker movie, likes ice. You know, like when you have a set of like standards, then you'll, I think, be able to kind of divert the other ones who don't meet those standards a lot easier than if you're just somebody kind of treading water and don't really have an idea of what you're looking for.
Yeah. So I guess like my final answer would be that it seems like age is the deciding factor of that. Like the older you get, the more you'll have to settle, or like more likely you'll have, those are what your options are. But to answer the question, like at what point do you have to accept that you'll be a stepfather? I think the only reason you would have to accept that, whether you think of it as a good or a bad thing, is if you like the person that you're dating. So there was a good, like, I've at least gone on a date with 3 women who already had a kid, right? And so obviously, you know, like during the dating scene, you're just kind of like meeting people, whatever. But I've like over the past like 5 years or whatever, I've recently dated 2 of those women in those past 5 years, and both of them, I really, really liked them. And I was willing to accept the fact that if it would have worked out, that I would have been a stepfather eventually. So I think that's more what it has to deal with rather than just accepting your age. I think it's more of like an internet meme culture that like the older you get, the more you'll have to settle with someone with a kid. I don't think that's the case though, and I'm finally learning that like recently, which is pretty crazy.
I'm gonna dig deeper here, and I'll see if you guys maybe agree or don't agree with this. Is if you're vibing with somebody, you really like someone, you're kind of always willing to take that chance, even if they have a child, even though it might not be preference. You might be like, you know what, this person's worth it. But I could see, like, since having a child in your life is a responsibility that you might have to accept if you're going to be in this relationship. I could see that you're more likely to put up with more with someone who's single and doesn't, I'm not single, someone who doesn't have a kid than with someone who does have a kid, because you might be like, you know what, I'm already having issues, plus there's a kid involved. That's extra responsibility I don't want to have. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut this already. Whereas you might put up with more with someone who doesn't have a kid.
Yeah, and then just to like end off, like having a kid is not a bad thing.
No,
For
it's
example,
not.
you know what I mean? Like it's like if you're single and you have a kid, you know, like I'm sure they those type of people have to deal with like the whole like as soon as they reveal that they have a kid, then like the person they're dating is out. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's more just like, you know, if you click, then you click and make it work, you know.
Because I've always looked at it from this perspective, is if I had a kid and I wanted to get into dating, I wouldn't want someone to turn me away because I had a child. But I understand
Just simply because of that.
if I was difficult and I had a child, I get why maybe they would.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a little controversial here because
it's that episode.
Okay, so you're right. Like, I'm not saying like if you have a child, like it's the end all. You're never gonna find somebody again. But I think like going into a relationship, right, brand new, like things that like let's say like I'm going to date somebody and I find out they have a child. Number one, obviously, like their child comes first, right? So already you're at a disadvantage. Depending on your personality too, maybe that's okay. You're okay with that. Number two, is their real father still in their life? Is there drama there? Is there going to be issues for you later down the road? Like, what's the situation? Like, is that something that you really want to deal with? Like, something to think about, right? And then number three, I mean, like I don't know how to say this. I'm not going to say it because it'll sound bad. So, anyways, those are my first two. I don't want to open up a can of worms. But like,
I'm glad the sugar wore off. No, at that point.
No, it just and again, it's not like.
Well, from Steven's point of view, I could see like sometimes when you're in a new relationship, it is difficult if you're maybe always running into your significant other's ex, and if the father's always involved, you're kind of in that position for like your life. And some people could get away with it. Some people are more mature. Some people are not. And to be honest, it's okay maybe not to be entirely mature, because if it's something you don't like, then sometimes you don't have to, it's best you don't deal with it.
So kind of to come full circle on this question, age does play a role in this, because I think the older you are, the more mature you are, and the more you're willing to accept the situation for what it is.
Right.
Where if you're younger, obviously, like if you're in your early 20s, you know, and you meet somebody who has a kid and like, hey, like, let's go to the bar. Oh, I can't because I have my kid and I don't have a babysitter. And then, you know, like, it's not about you because you're not number one per se, you know? And so like that already kind of creates a, not a disadvantage, but, you know, like, hey, like, let's go out, but they can't go out because, you know, they have their kid.
And the funny, this might come off that we're very anti-dating people with children, because I'm not that at all. I think what we're trying to maybe put into the world is there is a thought process that goes in behind these decisions. Like, just if there's a woman that didn't have a kid, you'd think about the pros and cons of that relationship, and sometimes it might not even be a child. It might be their parents. It might be something else. So. We're asking this question specifically.
And so like me personally, I always said no, and I kept my standard, and I never did. So
it's like someone offered you a cigarette, just say no.
I've never smoked a cigarette in my life either.
That's
I've never vaped in my life either. So
that's very good.
Well, you're not gonna get sick.
So.
All right,
let's get into this.
I was gonna say I've accidentally vaped.
I thought we got too deep right there, huh?
Yeah. That was a good question, man. Shouts out to that. Shouts out to the fourth mic.
Lex,
they're coming in strong.
Lex isn't a stepdad. He's the dad who stepped up.
That was me over the past year. But yeah, so where can you find some nice gifts if you're a stepdad? Or a regular dad, or just even not a dad, or not even a man. Just whatever you want. You can go to Vital Pomona. Vital Pomona. gifts exchanged. We believe everyone has a gift. Some just need help finding it. And this is exciting because as I read this off, there's actually a schedule of when they're open. Why? Because as of when this episode is released, Vital Pomona is officially opened. So 266 West. Let me try that again. 266 West 2nd Street, Pomona, California. Man, I'm getting like some secondhand CTE or something like that today because I can't really pronounce
What's that
anything.
supposed to mean?
It's like, for you, my bad. Let's try that. Take 3. 266 West 2nd Street, Pomona, California, right in downtown Pomona. Vital Pomona, their grand opening has already happened at this point, and they are now open. So stop by Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday, they're open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Yeah, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Vital Pomona, at Vital Pomona.
So this is why I stress to you guys to have a normal sleeping schedule. Because when you don't have a normal sleeping schedule, your brain sometimes just...
Yeah.
So...
My schedule's normal too.
What a dad, dude. Like, we get it. We've heard that our entire lives, dude.
Real quick.
But sometimes we don't.
Real quick. This is a funny story. And I don't know if we said this in the last episode. So Lex works overnights on Friday or Saturday. Friday?
Like every other Friday, yeah. Every other Friday night.
And so he works till 6 a.m, right?
Yeah.
So Lex sends a text at like 6:10 in the morning, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
No. Yeah.
We've kind of told the story, but
we kind of told the story, but go ahead.
So,
yeah.
So, and this is funny because this is like all different points of view. So,
Yeah.
like, Lex sends a text at 6 something in the morning, right? Early 6 o'clock. And Brian replies to it, right? And so,
Like right away.
You're like, oh, what? It's like 6. Why are you up, right? And then I replied to it because I was getting up to go to work.
Yeah.
One of the Saturdays that I had to work of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm answering the text at 6 something in the morning. And it's funny because Lex is awake because he had an overnight shift, right? Brian is awake because he just chose not to fall asleep. He fell into a YouTube wormhole and he stayed up all night. And then you have me, the dad
going to work,
getting his rest, going to sleep at 9 the night before on a Friday, getting his rest, getting up at 6, and being ready for the day. And so.
And then the ex-stepfather leaving work. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I lost my stepdaughter. Okay, that's bad.
You lost your stepdog?
It's funny because I have like 2 friends, which you're one of them, and then there's another guy who just like something about being a stepdad that really like is a fetish. Like, I don't know what it is.
You wild fan.
Like, so. Yeah,
let's get into this last question. This is going to end up being a special 1-hour episode. We got to get this last question out of the way, and then let's play some Fortnite, guys.
I'm down.
So,
I'm down. Are you down, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Brian doesn't play Fortnite.
I don't play Foreigner Night.
This is technically Brian's Foreigner Night right now.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so final question.
Steven was excited for this one.
This is the final question, and Steven actually did research on this question beforehand. 4th mic question: do parallel lines meet in outer space? So this is a question that I don't know how to answer.
So my quick response is, you would think they don't, but it's funny because I think I've had a math teacher or a couple in my day who say they eventually do. And then Steven is ready to explain why they do. I pointed this way because he's on that side of my screen.
I'm somewhere here.
On my screen, he's over here.
Okay, so here's the simple answer, right? Or the answer that, you grow up and you learn. Parallel lines never meet, right? And so...
this is a banger to the end of the show.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
I don't know. Okay, the person that sent this in, they send in really good questions because I really like to look at the world and just, I don't know, I just like to be challenged, right? So I'm not challenged. I like to be challenged. So
yeah, okay.
You're challenging.
So okay, like I said, the simple answer is no, they never touch, right? Because in a 2-dimensional, which is called a Euclidean I don't know what the second word is. Like Euclidean is what the word is, right? Euclid and then Ian. So,
Euclidean. Okay, yeah.
so that sounds funny.
It does, yeah.
Euclidean is just 2D, two-dimensional, right? So
Two-dimensional. Okay.
now in a two-dimensional, right?
There's like a math expert just like losing his fucking mind.
Okay, I'm
He
no
does
math
not know what he's
expert.
saying, but he.
Come on, dude. You
I
can't.
know.
You can't do that.
It's
So,
getting late. It's
Okay,
getting
here
late.
we go. So, like I said, I'm not a math expert, but whatever. I did a real quick research today, like on my lunch break, and I was just like super stoked because this stuff's pretty interesting. Anyway,
Yeah.
so here's an example, right? When you look at a railroad track, right? They're parallel lines. And if you're looking at it from an aerial view, like if you're in a helicopter, the lines will never touch, right? But now if you were to stand on the railroad tracks and look into the distance, they end up going like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, they would eventually touch at what is known as infinity. And so, or it's infinity or the vanishing point, which in a three-dimensional, what is this? The axis and what is that called?
The plane, three-dimensional plane, or
Yeah, a plane. In a three-dimensional plane, like, and this, again, took me a whole hour to understand.
yeah.
But eventually they do meet at infinity. So infinity, I guess, ends somewhere or begins somewhere, I guess you can say. This is known as projective geometry. And so they do intersect. And so in a three-dimensional plane, obviously if there's like a line here, right, two parallel lines, and you take their, I don't know what that's called, but like obviously like they just meet eventually.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to explain because
Yeah.
I'm not really good at math. I'm more
But I raised the question is, so you mentioned that also like space is infinity, right?
right, space, or the universe is infinite.
So they keep going until infinity, and that's when they meet, right? But infinity is ever going. So to be honest, does it ever meet if infinity is ever going?
So again, this is a theory, right? It can't be proven, or maybe it can. I'm just not really good at math. Check it out. There's some good YouTube videos. Just type in, do parallel lines intersect? And like the first 3 or 4 videos are really good. There's a video of these like two people that are good at math. That's what I'll say. 2 people that are good at math, and they write out the equation. I know I'm like burping up my own. I'm burping up my dinner.
Steven's about to throw up. He throws up baby food.
I throw up parallel lines. So like and they explain it really well. They show you the mathematical equation, and then they show you like the 3D plane and how the parallel lines would how they intersect at a certain point. And it's just very crazy to think that my whole life that it's been a lie. So,
wow, I'm impressed.
So I know this was my moment to shine, and I totally ate my words. Like I choked on them.
No, you did good.
You did good.
You did really good. Everything you explained to me in the pre-show, you got out. So
I just got really excited right now, and I just started like, so I was like regurgitating right now. So, but I really enjoy questions like that. So if you guys have like questions that don't make sense, send them in.
Send them in. All the smart questions, whatever. Man, I think the star of this episode, like if you know, like Sean McVay, every time he gives out game balls, it's like, all right, game ball, 1 for Steven. He really stepped it up. And then the other game ball goes for the 4th mic because he asked a bunch of really good questions. And my impersonation of Sean McVay is just like having like laryngitis or something. But yeah, dude, Steven and the 4th mic really shined today. Those were a lot of good questions. The polls were really fun. So yeah, let us know what else you guys would like to see too, just in general.
You didn't like my breakdown of Hulk Hogan or my my ad placement for Ike?
Dude, you know what? Yeah, game ball for the ad. Dude, that was probably the best ad ever.
Best ad ever.
All right.
Oh man. Well,
it got pretty awkward today.
It got really awkward today.
That's all right.
So
awkward.